Up next, we have a roving journalist poet, a linguistic lockpicker. His style is between storytelling and the verve of slam poetry and conversational rhythm. Please give it up for Christian Thompson, ladies and gentlemen.
So tall. Alright, this is a poem about perspective. It's called You Tiny Little Thing. I saw you sitting under that tree, you tiny little thing. The leaves fell around you like paper snow, and I wonder just what you know. Are you a flock of a feather? Do you feel like one in nearly 7 billion, alone and together? One beast among all the bison? On one planet hurling in a system around a star in which there are 400 billion, in one galaxy and more than 400 fucking thousand million. You're the fingernail on the arms of an infinite being, for which your view is only a shard of what you are seeing. I see you staring at the stars, and your eyes roll back when your mind peaks and fails. But I love you for being part of a Japanese god with 9 tails. I see you transcending your thoughts of believing, and trusting in exactly what you are feeling. You are human, which is a world, a microcosm of life. You are the god to the blood spilt with knife, to the white blood cells which keep you alive, and the red cells which give you drive, to the elements and atoms that tumble together to give you brain and blood, so that you may step up as the actor to give you life which will flow and flood. And there you are, you quiet phenomenon, a king to the like of Agamemnon. You were literally born from stardust, ancient celestial rust, hydrogen, helium, and carbon, with time and luck by the ton, through a plan of no plans, of serendipity, happenstance, and love at first glance. You were born into this world from an interworldly fabric, cut from the same cloth as kings and gods who laugh seismic. You are the blooming shades of Nefertiti, Set, and Isis, of Hathor, Horus, Osiris, of Thoth, of Moon, Anubis, of Elijah, Abel, and Jesus, of Abraham, Isaac, and Moses, of Siddhartha, become Buddha, and even Thetans, of Shiva, Kali, and Dionysus, of Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, and Nina Simone. I just really mean to say that you're not alone. I see you sitting under that tree, and I wonder what you know. So calm and peaceful, a perfect queen, you tiny little thing. Thank you. It's easy to get carried away, you know? You start thinking too much in your head, and before you know it, you think you're the big shit. You think you're all it is. It's good to have a little bit of perspective every once in a while. Take it away, realize that you're just a fleck, a speck, you know? And on the flip side of that, you're a phenomenon. You're a speck that self-actualizes, that you have free will. I mean, literally, he could jump up at any moment now, go screaming through this field, yelling at the top of his lungs. Like, you could just do it. You could do whatever you want. You know, if you actually did that right now, I swear to God, I'd go running with you, screaming at the top of my lungs. I'd take the mic, too. We'd just be belting out poetry, spinning in circles. Maybe, like, Seda had it wrong. Maybe that's really the way to connect with extraterrestrial beings. I think we might do that later on, like at 8 o'clock or so at the Tesla coils. How cool is it I could say that? At the Tesla coils, only at Art Outside. But anyway, this next poem. This is a poem about how sometimes people suck, sometimes the universe is good. Sometimes people are good and sometimes the universe sucks. It's called Official Medicine. We were 12, 13, 14, just half adults, little things coming into being. Our brains had blood and our hearts were thick, but we were half carved and far from seeing the truth in its full spectral vision. That would come in time like rain to Texas, divorce to excess, balance and excess, and locks to some access. We still had time to unfurl our hidden roots. Our lungs under the earth where we were breathing air from soil were in a giant cocoon still metamorphosizing. Our hair was changing colors, and the season still felt ripe. And being honest, we weren't the bad type. We were fucking young. So sometimes we put acid on our tongue. Sometimes we disobeyed you when you said to stay in, because there was a girl standing on a roof made of tin. She was sweet and unique. From her eyes poured lucid dreams, shared in quiet cut whispers on rooftops, under freeways. In the fields at the before dawn, at the time when we knew our godlessness and celebrated it with a clumsy kiss. Listen, it wasn't that we were wrong, or that you knew our songs. It was just that we knew without having the words for it. We felt a pull in our bones that told us that this was an important apex, that there would be many, but this wasn't one to be missed. And without knowing just how to pay attention, we did the next wisest thing, which is to embody the verve, recognizing that it was life we served. And to each other, with every wild push against your walls, we became small-time heroes in our big-time hearts. Even when we stole your car, burned the barn, gutted your cigar, told stories like yarn, shaved mohawks into our hair, spit on our history, said, "Fuck you, it's not fair." Even then, we got our hearts cracked for the first time. Little gods we were who didn't believe we'd be fine. So yeah, we went thermal. We were violent, we trashed the attic, we made fun of your beret and called you a beatnik. We're lost little bastards, caught halfway between states of being. Were we children or were we old, and from death we were fleeing? We were small-time jugs under giant waterfalls. The water of life, the mare, the crash of time, it all came flooding into our clay bodies and we grit our teeth. It was harsh, it was confusing, but it was life. Unmistakable, holy sun rising, fingers caressing your hips, real life. I know we were hard to raise. We were kids of cartoons and underoos, man. We were the first to get overloaded with batshit TV, sugar and fat and MSG. We all ended up with diabetes. Some of us fell hard from trees. We were hellions who burned out in the blink of an eye. Easy to come by, easy to die. To the goddamn doctors we would go. You giving up on us, that was a hell of a blow. At the clinic, our parents would whisper to the psychiatrist, "Oh, he's so sick. He's at his darkest. Can't concentrate, won't listen to me, set the garage on fire. It's like his brain is wrong, it's been hot-wired." "You have health insurance?" asked the doc. "Yes." "Then no problem. We'll fix him like a broken clock. Here's Ritalin. Here's Adderall. To the wild, he'll no longer call. Here's Prozac. Here's Zoloft. Your boy was fierce. Now he'll be soft. Look, it's a lion in a box. We tamed the fox. There used to be titans and Norse gods in his blood. Now he'll be affable, if not slow like mud. And look at his grades and his instant climb back into our normalcy, boring and sublime. Sure, he no longer makes you laugh, doesn't dream of hiking Flagstaff. He doesn't kid anymore. He doesn't care anymore. Sure, we've strip-mined his personality, delivered you a husk, to put it blandly. And thus, I graduated with a class of test subjects. Most of us were fed meds, all to calm the so-called devils in our heads. Some took an early exit. Others followed the river and fled. Some toughed it out. Saw it through, got a clue. But, some of us were lucky to have parents who could relate. They too grew up with Loki haunting their breastplate. They saw us struggling and offered wisdom and guidance to the tree. Instead of getting a script and going to the doctor with a plea, they called us out when we fucked up. We still loved us, and they filled our cup. They trusted our ferocity with the heat in our kiln, that with love and patience we would be forged into humans with hearts intact, terribly imperfect, but free to live with one less conflict. Thank you. I'm gonna change it up now. I'm gonna tell you guys a story. This is a 100% true story happening to me about 2 years ago. So I was backpacking around in India, and I just went to Agra and I saw the Taj Mahal. It was beautiful. Next step was to take a sleeper bus to Rishikesh. If you guys have ever been on a sleeper bus, it's kind of like a Greyhound, but it has an elevated top so that there's cots and you can sleep on there. They're pretty simple, no bathrooms or anything, but it's nice, you know? And it was great. I slept like a baby for the first hour. If you've never been to a drastically different country, it comes without saying, you're gonna get sick. It happens to everybody. And it happened to me. But it was really, really bad timing. And so I wake up about an hour later, and my intestines just felt like they'd been curb stomped. It was one of those things where I was freaked out, I was kind of in a panic, and I was hurting, and then the real terror took over. My eyes dilated, they opened wide, and I went into a cold flush, and I realized I had the diarrhea. And so at that moment, I get into this frenzied panic, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm stuck on this bus with no bathroom, rolling down a rural road in India, no stop for like 2 hours. So I weighed my options, and I was like, one, I can just sit there and wait it out and see what happens, or two, I can jump out of the bus. I was like, I'm gonna jump out of the bus. So I went up to the driver, and I'm a terrible traveler because I didn't speak a word of Hindi. Shame on me. And so I just went up to him and I was just shrugged and I was like, I gotta go, man. And I tapped my hand a couple times, like, now. And he turned and he said something else to me in Hindi, which I didn't understand, but he wasn't slowing the bus down. So I started looking out the window and I'm like looking at him, looking out the window, looking at him, looking out the window. And I'm starting planning. I'm like, okay, if I step out that door, I'm gonna put my left foot down, I'm gonna tuck my shoulder, I'm gonna roll like 6 times, and I'm gonna go from there. And like right then, right when I was about to make it, a miracle happened. The engine on the bus just tore open, exploded, the whole thing lurched, came to a halt, and we just cruised over to the side of the road. And I remember, I actually thanked the bus driver. Why I was thinking, I don't know, like, thank you that your bus suicided. Whatever, I didn't care. So I immediately run out, and there's these waist-high weeds and grass off to the side in a field, so I just run over there. I squat down, I relieve myself. I didn't have any TP, so I just camping style, you know? I grabbed a bunch of grass, wiped my ass, and I come back up to the bus, and everybody's standing on the side of the bus, and they're just waiting it out while the bus driver is walking down the road, collecting pieces of the engine. And this night became a really long night. For the next 4 hours, I probably ran back to that field about 10 times or so. Somewhere along the lines, I ran out of water. And I was just getting delirious at that point. None of the people on the bus even wanted to be near me, and I can't blame them. I mean, there's this crazy, freaked out foreigner who's sick out of his guts. Like, of course not. So, it gets bad though, it gets really bad. My head starts pounding. It felt like I was just like biting onto a paint shaker. I could feel like my vision was starting to blur. I couldn't hear anything. It was starting to go dull, and I started panicking. I started really panicking. I started, oh my God, what the fuck have I done? This is such a sad way to go. Is this gonna be the enemy? This is it? This is the dramatic conclusion of Christian J. Thompson? It might be. And in the middle of all these heavy, lofty thoughts, thinking about my friends and my parents and all my love, I had to take a shit again. So I run back to the same field, and it's almost dawn at this point. And I'm squatting there, and I can see the sun rising up over the mountains, and I'm about to pass out. And I think I might just die. I might just die, and like, at least this is beautiful. This is one last nice one. Thank you, universe. Huh. And then at the very moment, I grab a handful of grass to wipe my ass, and then I really see it all. I realize what just happened. With the dawn light across the field, I realize I'm sitting in a field of marijuana. All night long, I've been wiping my sweet white ass with pot leaves. I lost it. I started cracking up. I fell over. I laughed until I cried. And at that moment, I realized completely 100% that the universe has a sense of humor. So, all I really mean to say is, sometimes people suck. Sometimes the universe is good, and sometimes people are good. Sometimes the universe sucks. Sometimes the universe is just fucking with you. Thank you.